Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 Public Works Committee meeting. Now is time for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Evans. Present. Stroman. Here. Roberts.
Here.
Armstrong.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you so much. Now is time for the adoption of the agenda. Got a motion to adopt by Councilman Evans, a second by Councilman Stroman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now is time for general public comment. This is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the committee on any issue, not limited to items on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I don't see anybody jumping up and down to speak. So I will close that. We'll move on to consent items, items 1 through 14. I will open public comment. I don't have anything in front of me. I don't see anybody from the audience jumping up and down, so I will close that. Now we'll move on to items 1 through 14. We'll let staff bring forward any items they want to speak about.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bigler has agreed to speak to items 2 through 13, and I'll be speaking to item 4. Actually, no, I've got that backwards. I'll be speaking to items 2 through 13, and Mr. Bigler will handle item 14. So I'll just get started and run down the list here. Item 2, state revolving fund application we have with the state. As part of the process, we need to set a hearing. So that's what this item is for, is to set the hearing date. Item 3 is I think it's an annual request, or no, this is Arpa funds for federal transit. Megan Gould is here if you have questions a little later on after I get through these items regarding this. American Rescue Plan funds to assist in our operating portion of our rapid transit system. Item 4, purchase 2 model year tandem trucks. So those are roll-off trucks for our water reclamation department. Those are used to haul the ickies that we pre-screen out of our waste stream and take them to solid waste for disposal. Item 4, let's see, that is a change order, no cost. I believe that is for a time extension, I believe, no cost change. Item 6, as part of our Well 12 project, we decided to add some additional work to evaluate our Well 8. With this contractor, they have the ability and the schedule available to do some work for us. So we are requesting a increase for a change order. Item 7 is a final change order on Unadell Drive. As you can see, it was a decrease of about $45,000, so that's a good thing. Item 8 is a bid correction. I think it's self-explanatory. The bid's already been awarded. Just for the record, the bid amount was off by a very minor amount that needs to be corrected for finance purposes. Item number 9 is a resolution. This, our bridge inspection program, which occurs every 2 years, is a state program, so we have to follow all of their consultant selection process. So this item in front of you today is a resolution stating that we are using the state's process and have selected a state-approved consultant to do our annual bridge inspections. Item 10, this is a big item. It's a professional service agreement for Ferber Engineering, who was selected to do the design work for the Sheridan Lake Road project that we've talked about here recently and at the latest CIP meeting. It's a large dollar amount, obviously, nearly $1 million. However, it is a $20 million project, and we are, I won't say time critical, but certainly coordinating with the DOT They will be doing improvements at the intersection of Mount Rushmore Road and Catron Boulevard, so the interchange up on top of the hill up there. Our goal is to get this project done in advance of that to minimize the disruptions in our traffic in that southwest quadrant of town. Item number 11, let's see, that is amendment with Long Branch. So we've got a Elm Avenue. Long Branch was selected to do a number of phases of work in the Robbinsdale area. This amendment is for them to do a trunk sewer upgrade to the sanitary sewers in this part of town. So it's not the amendment isn't due to something that wasn't unplanned. This has been on our CIP for a number of years, and it's just time for it to happen. And then, let's see, we're looking at an amendment with Ferber Engineering on our 12th Street project. So this 12th Street project, which went through the gap this past year, is going to continue south. Is a multi-phase project primarily focused around underground infrastructure, drainage primarily, and then obviously with utilities. So as we progress on the phasing of this project, amendments are needed to analyze different components of the project, and I believe this one is for a water and sewer component to a future phase of this project. And then item 13 is a variance request on Creek Drive to install sidewalk. Staff's evaluated this and recommends approval of the request. With that, I'll take any questions on these items if you have any, or if Mr. Bigler wants to jump in now too, would be maybe a good time for him to walk through his.
Thank you. We have one item on here, and we're requesting authorization to seek RFPs for concessionaire at the boat launch over at Canyon Lake. That's the area that has had paddle boat rentals for years and years. That contract had expired and was no longer renewable. It had already been renewed. So we are going to be going out for proposals for concession services over there.
Thank you. And it looks like we have some questions from Councilman Stroman.
Thank you, Chair. May I address Director Tech, please?
Absolutely.
Dale, I'm glad to see on number 7 that there was an actual change order that was in our favor for a decrease of $45,000. I was somewhat familiar with that Unadale Drive project, and I know that at one time there was a concern from a resident up there about his turnaround for his RV. Was that resolved, or how was that resolved? Or
It was resolved. Certainly our construction manager as well as our city engineer worked closely with that individual to address his concern. So we're at a final change order here. The project's closed out, and I believe that we reached an agreement with the property owner.
Good, congratulations. And one other thing on number 10, you pointed out that this is a pretty high dollar item on number 10 for consultant services on the Sheridan Lake Road project. And it is I understand, a massive project in terms of the entire project's like a $20 million project. There's other places where, I don't know, it just seems like a lot. Can you explain why we have to pay that much for design? And is the state, are they involved in any of this portion of the project? And do they have people that are doing the same thing, and we're not duplicating?
No, the state is not involved in this at all. I guess I'll take you back a few years, but we did a corridor study. This is an arterial roadway, arterial corridor. We did a study a number of years ago to determine what is the best configuration for the roadway based on projected traffic volumes, future development in the area, and based on the findings of that study, it's now time to build it to alleviate, I know you see it every day, the traffic concerns with the school being there. So now it's time to implement the findings of that corridor study. Once again, it's an arterial roadway. Those are our biggest, most expensive roads to reconstruct. We'll be doing some widening of the roadway, so we've got impacts to adjoining property owners, so there will be significant discussions with adjoining property owners in the acquisition of right-of-way to be able to build the road section that we need in there. And then obviously all of the utilities, all of the drainage, all of the roadway needs to be reconstructed. So that's the reason that this is a high dollar amount. I shouldn't say obviously. If you look at the amount, nearly $1 million, it's a $20 million project. That's about 5% for design. That's actually on the low side of things. Typically, you figure 8 to 10% for design. So, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we went through the corridor analysis, and that helps keep the cost of this engineering effort down too. So, it's a reasonable cost, and it's a big project.
Okay, in that corridor analysis, that doesn't play into this, what we're hiring Ferber for on this part of it? I mean, or did they do that corridor analysis?
No, it was a firm, I think it was HDR, did the corridor analysis. So they're the ones that analyze the traffic, the needs, the turning movements, the traffic volumes, future development out on Sheridan Lake Road, future development in the area, and determined what the road needs to look like, what lane configurations, what lengths of turn lanes, traffic signal improvements. So those have all been identified. So now it's Ferber's responsibility. They were selected through the consultant selection process to do the actual design work to make biddable plans to actually build this project.
Okay. Thank you for your explanation. I yield.
And do we have any more questions? Laura, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
If not, I will look for a motion on items 1 through 14.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilwoman Armstrong, a second by Councilman Evans. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We will move on to non-consent items. Items 15, I will open public comment. I don't see any public comment, so I will close public comment. And we will move on to 15, withdraw request from John Eisinger to appeal the denial of exception 21EX212. Exception 21EX212 is to waive the requirement to install sanitary sewer main within Nameless Cave Road right-of-way in conjunction with the proposed subdivision of Lot 2 of Block 1 of Irene Estates. Do we have anyone that wants to ask any questions? I don't see the...
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would...
Yes,
have a comment on
absolutely.
this. As you recall, this item was, I think, continued back to Public Works from a city council meeting 3 weeks ago. Since that time, the staff has met with Mr. Eisinger, and other options have been presented, and he has decided to withdraw this request because he has other options that he can pursue. So this is per his request, and we ask that you acknowledge his withdrawal. It's kind of a clunky motion, I get that.
So, actually, we do need to acknowledge it. We need to acknowledge it, yes? We have a motion to acknowledge? You can, absolutely.
I appreciate Director Tech's explanation, and going along with the question I had on number 7, that our staff is working with these people and they're able to resolve these issues. I think that is commendable, and I just appreciate that. I want to make that comment. I yield.
Thank you, and I think it's a comment that needed to be made. So we have a motion by Councilman Evans and a second by Councilman Stroman to acknowledge the withdrawal. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Got a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you.
You are the last party in the conference. You will hear silence until the conference begins.